Welcome back to News 3 Today. It is the last Friday of the month, and that means tour guide and Savannah content creator Enika Edenfield is here for a new installment of Historic Happenings. And earlier this month, we celebrated the most prestigious awards in the film industry. We're talking about the Oscars this morning, and we're focusing on one of Savannah's own, an unfamiliar name to some people, but she was a trailblazer, and we're talking about Fredi Washington.
Yes. Fredi Washington was an actress who was born in Savannah. She ended up moving up to Harlem when she was about middle school aged because her mother had passed away here. But that's where she got involved in dance.
Yes.
And she ended up falling in love with the theater. She ended up actually being hired by the dancer Josephine Baker for her cabaret troupe, which is really cool. But then she ends up getting involved in film, eventually moving out to Hollywood. And roles at the time, especially for African-American actors, were incredibly limited due to racism and the Hays Code, which was inherently racist too. And she decided that she wasn't going to settle. She had a very light complexion, and there were quite a few people in her life who encouraged her to try to pass as white.
As many people did back in the day.
So that she could try to get more roles. And she absolutely refused to do that. She was like, no, 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 like I am an African-American woman. I'm proud of that fact. And she decided to work to open up doors for other actors. She co-founded an Actors Guild for African-American actors to help them advocate for themselves for better roles and better pay and better working conditions. She was an active member of the NAACP out in LA to try and advocate for the same things. But eventually, she would star in a movie.
I know you're going to talk about it. It's my favorite movie, by the way.
Yes, and now that I've said that,
Imitation of Life.
Imitation of Life. Thank you.
She played Peola. Yes, she played Peola, which is actually the opposite of what she was all about, because Peola, her character, passed for white in the movie. She had a black mom who was a servant at the time at a home, and in real life, Fredi Washington was not going for that.
Right, and apparently she did that role so well that a lot of people thought that that was her stance, and she was like, no, 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 but thank you, I'm glad that I portrayed it so well. But in case any of y'all are looking to watch that at home, that's the 1934 version.
Exactly, there are two versions.
There's two versions. She was in the 1934 version. And that movie would go on to be nominated for 3 Academy Awards. She was not nominated, which honestly she got robbed. But later on, she would leave acting and become the editor and columnist for the People's Voice in New York, where she continued her work as a civil rights advocate. Eventually, she ends up marrying a dentist and retiring to Connecticut, but she passed away in 1994 at the age of 90.
Yeah.
Just an amazing woman.
A little bit of Savannah history, but just as you mentioned, amazing woman, a trailblazer, worked with Paul Robeson and did all of these fantastic things. So we're going to pivot just for a moment because we're running out of time, but I do want to address the TikTok ban and your stance on that, because you are TikTok famous. That is how you make a lot of your money. So tell people how that affects you.
So there are so many stories that get told on TikTok. In fact, I found Fredi Washington's story on TikTok from another creator, and it has opened up so many doors and horizons to so many different creators, obviously myself, but a lot of others as well. And it's introduced a lot of people to a lot of aspects of history and society that we wouldn't have had access to before. So I hope that the ban does not go through, because that would
affect your livelihood.
Yeah, it would affect my livelihood for sure, but it would silence a lot of voices that I think deserve to be heard.
Yeah, who found their voice in this space.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you're still touring, you're still doing your tours. Tell folks how they can get in touch with you.
They can find me through my website, Enika Edenfield Tours. They can also find me on Instagram and TikTok. You can find all that information on EnikaEdenfieldTours.com.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next month.
All right.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast.